Let's talk about anxiety. What is anxiety? Why do so many people experience anxiety throughout their lives? Why does it just happen? What is it? And how do we face it? Now, anxiety is a difficult subject when you realize that it's really nothing. It's absolutely nothing. It's no physical entity. It's something created by you. Anxiety is fear. It's an over domination of fear. It's just high alert. It's that fear component of your brain shooting off. It's an over exaggeration of fear. It's worrying what's going to happen. It's additionally, in general, trying to fill in for the absence that your mind doesn't have. It's unknowing. Anxiety affects us in a lot of different ways. It affects us throughout our days. It affects our eating habit. It affects the way we think. It affects the way we sleep. It affects our emotions. If we worry too much about something and we are worrying, it's bad when it's anxiety, because most of the time anxiety is a fake thing. It's not real. Anxiety is just stemmed from how scenarios have fallen out. But there's a fine line to understanding anxiety and understanding two things about anxiety. Number one is that it is completely normal. Anxiety is going to happen. Anxiety happens through numerous occasions in life. Your first time you ever had to present to the class, anxiety happened. First, if you ever had to go up on stage or something for a play, anxiety came up there. If you ever had to meet a relative, anxiety came up there. There were small amounts of anxiety, and it was all just because your brain didn't know what it was. And that becomes a coping mechanism. It is just one of the brain's coping mechanisms. It is trying to comfort you. It is trying to be on high alert. It's your fight or flight response almost. It's trying to you're trying to find an answer. For most anxious tendencies, it is we create scenarios in our head. We sit on a fine line where we don't think about some things. We know we have these fears, and like I said, it's a coping mechanism, so it's so conditioned into some people. Anxiety is something that goes way beyond the mind. It is not something so easily controllable. It is so difficult because, like I said, life will constantly give you natural anxiety. So this is something that no matter what, when you overcome it, you'll run into anxiety numerous times in your life through little aspects. But it's what you visualize your fear as, and it's what you perceive in the anxiety, and it's difficult. But there's a few things that can help one's anxiety. There's a few things that can, try to redirect it. Most people, quick anxiety comes from thinking. You can see it. Thinking, worrying. So let's say somebody's thinking about an event. They're thinking about work. One for example is work. Let's say somebody's anxious about work. Let's say they go to work and there are stressful days that approach them at work. And so, for example, the holidays. Let's say Christmas Eve, they work. And they go into work and it's really stressful. It's busy, it's packed, there's a lot of customers. And so that creates a memory, right? Let's say that day they experienced fear too. They were stressed, they were tired, they wanted to get out of there, and they didn't see it through. The next time that comes up, let's say next year Christmas rolls around, the person has to work, they're going to be like, wow, I remember last Christmas and it was really scary. And then that feeling just comes in. It's a fine line. There is something between anxiety and another term called superstitions. And superstitions are similar to the anxiety. And you must understand that superstitions are very well unlike anxiety. Superstitions are kind of just what I explained right there. That is not anxiety. That is just your brain growing and evolving from a scenario. What I just displayed there is not anxiety. It's superstitions where you're at. You're let's say next day, like tomorrow I work, I'm like, shit, it's probably going to be packed, right? That's just superstition. I've been through life. I've had a lot of scenarios that perhaps give me this falsified ideal that it will. It's just something I do with assumptions and conclusions. Like I said previously, we want to know things. That's the whole point of anxiety, is figuring out the current scenario so that we are comfortable in it. So, what differentiates superstitions from anxiety? What differentiates superstitions from anxiety is the way it affects you. Superstitions are going to they're going to pop up in your head. You're going to notice it's a superstition if you feel a little brief amount of fear. A superstition can be, just a mental thought, right? Here's another one. You touch a hot stove, right? You burn the shit out of your hand, and you're just going to look at that stove and have that energy, don't touch that. That shit is hot. I know it's hot. I can't see the hot, but I know it's hot. That's super, just kind of knowing. Now, anxiety is where we grow with that. We grow with that term. Anxiety is learning to try to apply that to every single thing before we take the damage. You see what I'm saying? So superstitions happen through the actual experience, and anxiety is preventing that, if that makes sense. Back to that frying stove. The anxiety is going to prevent you from touching a stove in general, but the superstition will actually help you understand why you can't touch the hot stove. I may not be making any sense right now, but anxiety is much more serious. It affects the body, it affects the brain, and you realize that a lot of the times these anxious events, this anxiety that you create is fake. They're just scenarios. What if, and that's what we ask ourselves. What if? How do we halt anxiety? How do we stop it? How do we get rid of it? And this is a hard answer. This sucks, but you can't. It is a strong, powerful thing. It is a part of life. It's a part of the universe. It's a part of how things exist. You'll run into fear time and time again. You'll run into a scenario where you don't know. You are not a kid anymore. You're an adult. You're a thinker. You're learning how it is to be smart. You're learning that to think to be smart is to try to think about every scenario that happens and try to analyze everything that happens to try to see that thing that came, that thing that hit. Because this is what happens. In life, there may be a time where you weren't prepared and something happened, right? Out of nowhere, out of the blue, something struck you. And that's when it hits the worst, when you aren't expecting it. And that is a serious thing that happens to a lot of people. It can be grief, it can be pain, it can be someone they care about, it can be something as little as but when their current mood is altered like that and they're like, whoa, how do I stop that again? How do I prevent that again? And the answer is you can't. You really can't. It is a scary event to have something fly out of nowhere and hit you. But you really can't. You can't stop that. Fearing about it is fake. Anxiety is fake. You are just succumbing to that event. You're just like, fuck, that was a scary event. You don't want that to happen again. To overpower and grow from a situation, you must feel that to not have this happen again, worrying about it is going to help. The truth is, that's not going to do anything for it. It may give you the idea that you're preventing it, but it'll happen regardless of your worrying or not. And you don't want to sit there and convince yourself that you've just manifested that into reality. Things are meant to be. It is life's natural strength and conditioning to make you who you are throughout each and every day. You're going to run into fear time and time and time again. And the way we deal with it is not perfect. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. There's a lot of ways people deal with anxiety and fear in the outlets that they know, because they want to, the outlets that they can. But understanding that anxiety is something that you can learn to work with, as something you can identify. You can get in a situation and be like, okay, boom, I have anxiety. I don't know. This is just my brain trying to fill in something it doesn't know. I just need to understand that I don't understand, and that's okay. I don't know. It's not going to hurt me if I do or don't know. It's just attacking. It's that fear of being hit with something you don't want to be hit with. But this is a problem. Like I've said, you're grown now, you're going to think about things. You didn't think like that as a kid. Why are you thinking now? You didn't think about everything that happened in your life as a kid, and you were happier too. Maybe that could be why you're less happier as a kid, because instead of that serotonin and that dopamine, you have filled that space with thoughts that will never be relieved, because they are thoughts you don't know. They are decisions you want to know. They are random, impulsive. It's anxiety. It is fear out of random occasions. It is just something that is, like I said, developed through certain events. So now I'm going to share ways that I sort of deal with my anxiety throughout my days, because I do experience anxiety all the time. There are ways that I work with it, and there are ways and tools and things I've done that I've found that it has made me easier to work with my anxiety. And I'm going to try to explain some of those tools that I use right now. One of those tools is, because it can be a very panicking situation. It can be little to no fear, or it can be an over excessive amount of fear, right? It's overwhelming the brain. There's no relaxation. What I find doing is always just understanding that a relaxed mindset, a calm mindset, is a fluent mindset, is a accessible mindset. A stressed mindset and a worrisome and feared mindset is not really you. It's not your true emotions. They're ramped up with this or that. You'll always go back later and think differently. You know, it's a work to try to get that energy out of you. So when I find myself in an anxious situation, worrying or panicking, I immediately just breathe. I need to worry and get my brain to a relaxed state. Calm myself down. Just breathe. I can interpret in that situation that my mind is worrying, my mind is scared, my mind is afraid. And when you have those variables and you act out of emotion, it cannot come out as you. You are working with an emotion that could be powerful. You are working with whatever it is at the moment right now. So when you are faced with anxiety, you must understand that if you want to make the best decision and a good decision and a decision you won't regret, or, jump into something with, means something you don't, get that brain relaxed first and just really, you're worrying about it and you're stressing and you're thinking out, but just do breathing, do whatever you can, get that mind to a relaxed state, do whatever. Another thing I do is I'll work out. I go pick up dumbbells, go lift. I find that when I release energy or pick up something heavy, stress, it clouds up my head. It'll take that thought out of your head immediately. Just lifting something super heavy, putting and moving stress and energy to something else, it helps immediately. And once I work out and bring my mind to a more developed mind, it's like, okay, I've calmed down more and I can look at that situation through a neurological standpoint instead of emotions. Why was I actually worrying about that? Really, what is the worst to happen from that situation? If anything, it teach me. If I never have the situation ever happen, I'm never going to learn, Once you get that mind to a calm state, then you can look back and think about that same thing you were worrying about and see if it's still expelled in the same fear. Because most of the time it won't. You'll look back and be like, But then we release that anxiety by doing those things, and it just still doesn't get relieved. It's weird. But you must turn that off in the moment. So going on, if I'm sitting there worrying, whether it's staring at a text, whether it's thinking about this, thinking about that, I'll close my eyes, just breathe, leave the area in the moment. That's fine. Whatever the hell it is, if it's at work, I can't close my eyes. I have a customer. I have all these things forcing me in the now. But that's where you have the opportunity to still just breathe. Just take a deep breath, You are doing whatever you can to get yourself better. And there is no exact perfect way, right? That you are dealing with an overwhelming thought. And we have shown in our lives that those thoughts are overwhelming, and we never, ever, 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 ever understand how to take them out right. We abuse this, we abuse that. People go to drugs. People shut that thought off so hard because it is an overpowering thought. So the next time you are confronted and you see, wow, I don't think I can shut this off, that's usually how it is. It's usually something your mind doesn't see out. And it's always going to be like that. It's categorized itself as fear. I'll find myself like that at work where my stomach acts up and, I'm moving fast, I'm sweating, customers are moving, it doesn't slow down, I'm worried about this, I'm worried that, I'm not going to get out of there, I'm worried that I'm going to pass out because I'm not eating, I have real fears, because I'm not eating, my stomach's communicating. So these are real fears that then my overthinking can manifest into something that will then attack me and affect my actual day. Like I'll be sitting there depressed because I'll be worrying about my condition, worrying about this, but there is a difference, because there is a time where you cannot get that mind to a relaxed state, you can't get that thought. That's why breathing helps. Breathing is connected to the heart, breathing is connected to the brain. It's the oxygen. Sometimes you don't get enough oxygen to the brain and you get all the oxygen here. And when you don't get enough oxygen up here and you can't think, you don't realize, but that's more stress. That's more stress. Once you realize that your brain's 1000% fuel level is oxygen, the thing the brain runs on is oxygen, and sometimes you're tired and you're exhausted and your brain's not getting that, that could be why you don't have that sought out thought in the moment, why you're experiencing anxiety, the over-stressing. So breathing, taking in oxygen, just, it'll alter your mindset very quickly. Some other ways I control my anxiety throughout my day are visualizing and analyzing the current environment instead of that environment that you don't know, what you've done. Another thing I do is I reward myself for the little shit I did throughout the day. You must understand that when you are dealing with anxiety, you are a soldier, you are a warrior. To get up every day and to mask to everyone, to your family, to work, to everything. You're truly having these thoughts that battle you every single second of the day. So whether the anxiety is keeping you from your happiness, you must understand that you're not stuck, you're not walking, you're not running, you're climbing. It is work. You're doing good. Sometimes we feel our work isn't being shined on. It doesn't feel matched. So you must start to shine on that yourself. You must start to appreciate the little things you do throughout every day, and you will start to work that and ingrain that psyche in your mind to start rewarding yourself but like saying good, positive things for the little things. You must keep in mind you're battling with fucking horrible thoughts. Fucking thoughts that are meant to attack you. It's out to get you. That's how it seems, that it's out to fucking get you. It's out to kill you. And it puts you in that position. You must understand that going through those thoughts and waking up in the morning is an accomplishment. Going through those thoughts and eating when it's stopping your normal, natural digestion and your hunger patterns, eating through that is something to reward yourself for. I ate. I should be happy that I ate. I'm battling with this right now and I still push through eating. I went to work today. I'm battling with this shit that's attacking the fuck out of me, but I still pushed through work and went through work today. I got up this morning and I still put on a face for my parents. I still cared, and I didn't let any of my thoughts ruin my outer environment and affect anyone else around me. You go through a lot of strength each day. You are a tough person. And we are so lock-minded to tell ourselves we're not tough because we see fear and anxiety and just this overwhelming feeling. And we're like, no, we're not tough, because we see one person who appears tough that isn't worrying about something. But really, if someone isn't thinking, they're not working, they're not understanding, they're not delving into the scenario. So you are not in the wrong for being an anxious person. You're not in the wrong for looking at a scenario and not understanding it. You're not in the wrong for having these natural thoughts. Like I've said, they hit you in so many different levels to where it is uncontrollable. So back to what I was saying, I'll be brought up with a thought. I'm anxious because I'm 19. My true anxiety is I'm not doing anything right. I really am. That's my fear. I'm not doing anything right. I've avoided college. I'm working, making $15 an hour, which is something that can make you feel like you're earning money, but you do know that you have to take a step further one time in life and get more, because money is you need a lot of it in this world, and no matter what you say, 15 an hour might not suffice you. And if I want that to suffice me, it means I bust my ass there 7 hours a week, or 7 days a week. But my anxiety is that I'm gonna fail in this world. I'm gonna be homeless. Because every single step of the way I've had this. Through school I suck, through social environment I suck, through everything I'm not good enough. I lack. It's allowed me to attack my fucking brain. And it's so easy to be here, life after life. I've been here for 2 years working at this job. Not much has changed, and I've still been dealing with these thoughts. And I fear that, those are the very things stunting me from getting that. I fear too much. I don't eat, I don't sleep, and then those things affect me and then affect me through my day. When I go to work, I'm tired because I didn't sleep, and I'm hungry at work because I didn't eat, worrying about these dumbass thoughts. But there are times at the end of work, at the end of my shift, where I really got to just fuck off with that. I know it's attacking the fuck out of me. I want to do good. I always visualize myself doing good, but I'm not doing it right now, and that shit can piss me off. It's what I have right now, and I need to understand that, you aren't where you want to be. Most people aren't. Most people aren't, and fucking nobody's where they wants to be. But in my life, you need to start appreciating the little things you do, right? It's tough for me to eat, so when I eat, I appreciate myself for eating. You did good. You did good. Even if it's just a strawberry or a grape or protein, whatever it was. You are doing that all while battling this. So rewarding yourself mentally, telling yourself and reminding yourself constantly that you're doing good. You're doing good, you're doing good, you're doing good. And that's not something you have to believe. You just tell yourself it. Like I said, if you are so anxious about this thought and it's eating you, and then out of nowhere you're like, well, at least I woke up. And you're like, nah, it's you did wake up. You were going through something tough. You acknowledged that. You woke up. You moved. Life was giving you signs to push you down. Truthfully, that's what you gave of this scenario. It was a tough scenario and it beat you down. It's so easy to get in that position, but how easy it is to look at that scenario and keep going beyond that. Not easy at all. But it hasn't been attempted yet. So when we start to, I'll say through my life, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, my shift was all right. I got through another shift. Yes, I'm not a millionaire yet. Yes, I'm not working a full-time job. Yes, I'm working this job, but I did good today. I woke up. I did my part. I did really good at work. I was nice to my customers. Yeah, I didn't feel accomplished, and maybe my work didn't pay off today, but I did good. I did what I know I need to do. I did what I feel would make me a better person. I put in my work regardless of how I felt. And that is always an amazing thing, because we are emotional, we react upon our emotion, and anxiety is ultimately something that is going to come at a bad time. It's never going to hit at the right time when you're ready for this. It's always when this is happening and this is happening, and that's why it's overwhelming. Sometimes you can't even work with it. And then that'll happen and you'll be fearing that again. So I'll hit an anxious situation and I'll just realize, okay, I'm here, I'm alive, I got it through my shift, I'm walking, my body is healthy, my heart is beating, my voice, I'm talking, I'm here. It's tough to see those things, even if you're lying to yourself, faking it till you make it. Anything would be better than lying to yourself about something that is not true, but you somehow still believe it. You can believe negative, but you can't believe positive. That doesn't make sense. But you can start believing positive even if it doesn't make sense, because it's much better than believing negative that doesn't even exist. It's stupid. It's stupid. You sit there and you're not numbskulled for believing in good that can't be there. You're not mentally lobotomized, because people will find the good in everything and the good in little things, and sometimes you'll see that and you're like, your happiness is a foundation. You need this and this and this and this and this. And the difference in those people is it's a reward. It's like, oh, that's cool. So then they reach that and it makes them happy. They've learned to garner happiness off of all these things. Even if it's if it's just a rock or like a sun or the clouds or something cool, they connect it to positive emotions. They start doing that. So something you maybe don't even think of in your life, like your phone. You have your phone. That's something you should be happy for. You have communication to the internet. You have it doesn't make sense, but just reminding yourself of those small dumb things that you have, taking your mind off of that. All you need to do is take your mind off of that. I've talked about working out. Working out will cloud up your mind. You'll just lift. If it's not working, just keep lifting. You'll tire yourself out. That brain, you'll start pumping serotonin from the working out, and the chemicals will replace. And then you find another time at work where you can't work out, or find another thing. Just remind yourself, I'm at work, I'm working, I'm doing my best, I'm doing what I can. You are just, it's an attack. You must interpret it as an attack. And it's not, it's when you interpret it as attack, you will understand that it's always going to come off defensive. It's always going to come off tough and strong. So when you feel that and you come with that situation, you understand that that is just your brain trying to fill in that absence. But instead of filling in that absence, fill it in with what you know. What you are doing, what you have done, what you have accomplished. Even if it's some dumb shit 4 years ago, right? You're here. You think about you think about a bad scenario I did my part there, and I'm still here, and I have to talk about that, and I can share that experience, it's a lot to rework your mind, and you feel like you're dumb when you're thinking about something you don't believe, but it doesn't matter when you realize that the dumbest thing is believing something and being hurt by something that is not there, that is just physically not there.